Hi guys, and welcome to the Stephen King Sematary Club. We are going back to the Dark Tower with the Wastelands. And this is one of my favorite covers. I love the train with the rose eyes in red. This is the Wastelands Dark Tower number 3, and Jake is gone. He is not around. So it's only Roland, Susanna, and Eddie. Jake is not in the story yet. They are still on the way to the tower, and they're at camp. Roland and Susanna are shooting. She's practicing her marksmanship, and Eddie is back at camp. He is whittling something, and all of a sudden a huge bear comes out of the woods, and it is described as a King Kong sized bear. So think Bearzilla. He has a radar dish on the top of his head, and he is some kind of animatronic bear. So he's a bear with metal parts, a robot. He's so tall that he can, rip down trees. It's a very scary situation, and he's running down. So his inner components are breaking down, and his body is starting to decay. He has a lot of gross bugs and things inside of him, and he is just going crazy because of all this. So that makes him extra dangerous because he's an insane, huge bear with massive strength. Eddie is trapped, and he climbs a tree to get away from the bear. Susanna and Roland have come from their practice area, and Roland has actually put Susanna on his shoulders, and they're running. So Susanna has the gun, and she shoots the bear to get him to come after her instead of Eddie, and then she shoots and kills the bear by shooting its little radar dish. She tells Eddie that she hopes to never have to do anything like that again, but a small voice inside of her head says, quote, "That voice suggested that she could not wait to do something like that again, and it was cold, that voice. Cold." Page 33. So more time is passing, and with each day, Susanna and Eddie are becoming more and more like gunslingers. So once the bear is killed, they find a metal tag labeling him from North Central Positronics, and his name is Shardik. That's kind of like his model. Design number 4, Guardian Bear Shardik. And there are 12 guardians who watch over the 12 entry points of the portals. And those portals lead in and out of Roland's world. So I always kind of imagine it as a clock face, and with each hour there's some kind of a guardian stationed there. And then the 13th gate, which is where the Dark Tower is, that is the center. So that's where everything goes toward, and it's basically where the clock hands would be, like the little center point of the clock. That's how I always picture it in my head anyway. So Roland is very conflicted by memories of Jake being around, and then he, lets go of him, and Jake says, "Go, then there are other worlds than these." And then a reality where Jake didn't enter his story. So he has these two things that are just true at the same time, but he can't live with them. They're conflicting, and they are causing headaches, and he is really just losing his mind. Roland is now carrying Walter's jawbone, and he throws it into the fire. It explodes into a key shape, which Eddie is very interested in, and he knows it's important, so he memorizes it down to the very minute detail. And then it turns into a rose, and then it disappears. So roses are very important, keys are very important. The tower is important. Eddie that night dreams of New York and a door that opens onto a field. Quote, the tower was a dark gray exclamation point planted in the earth and rising above the field of blood-red roses. Page 53. Eddie, Susanna, and Roland follow Shardique's back trail to see where this bear was coming from, see if they can find out more about him. And they end up in this small area where there is a portal. It's a little building, kind of makes me think of a toll booth. And it's white, it's yellow and black striped. And there are all these little robots running around. And it's kind of like the island of misfit toys. So there are little robots that are broken. They're running down. Some of them are evil. They have sharp teeth. They have like a snake, a rat, a little truck. And they're kind of mean to each other too. Like they'll chase each other and attack each other. And since they have found a portal, they'll be able to follow the beam to the Dark Tower. This portal should have a straight path along the beam to the tower. But the world keeps expanding, and that is why Roland has never just been able to start out from one point and walk and walk and walk and reach the tower. It says, it took Roland more than 20 years to get to the Western Sea, which is only 1,000 miles. So he was even on horseback some of the way, but it's just, on a map, it looks close, but when you actually start walking and things start changing, that alters everything, time-wise. So they kill these little robots, and they head out on their journey, and Eddie is actually really excited. Once again, he's looking forward to resuming this, having a purpose. They know where they're going. Their adventure is underfoot again. And Roland ends up giving Eddie his gun and his knife. So Susanna has one, Eddie has the other, and this is for everyone's safety because Roland is having this somewhat mental breakdown and they're a little nervous that he could be dangerous. So part 2 is Key and Rose. We have Jake Chambers, who is alive in New York City, and this is 1977, May 31st, 1977. He is 11 years old. He's finishing his first year at the Piper School, which is a prep school, very, very elite. He tells himself, quote, you were run over by a car and you're dead, page 91. So he has passed the date where initially, in the initial story, he had been run over and killed in the street and then sent to the desert, to the way station, to meet Roland. And that divergence means that now he has confusion about being dead. Like he knows he was supposed to die. He remembers all the details, but it didn't happen. So now he feels like he's going crazy, which is very understandable. And now he's living this offshoot from his normal path. And he's obsessed with doors. He's expecting any door to open and then transport him to the desert. He just doesn't know when it's going to happen. He's sure it's going to happen, but he's not. It's not happening. And every door he opens, he has this anticipation and excitement. He wants to be there. So his final English essay is 25% of his grade. He has written a very avant-garde piece, which it was almost as though he blanked out, wrote all this stuff, and then turned it in, and while he's sitting in the classroom waiting to turn it in, he realizes that he has basically alerted everyone to the fact that he is crazy because this stuff doesn't make sense. But for us, it makes a lot of sense, and there are a lot of interesting details in it. So I wrote most of them down. He has affixed a picture of a door and an Amtrak train, and he writes about the gunslinger, Eddie, and Susanna. The essay goes on to talk about Blaine, four wheels and flies, a stone, a rose, a door, etc. Quote, Roland let me die. That is the truth. I still love him. That is the truth. Page 98. The final page has a photo of the Leaning Tower of Pisa, colored in black, like scribbled black. And he realizes that he needs to get out of there. He needs to leave the classroom because everyone is going to know now that he has broken with reality, and he is just aimless because he doesn't know what to do. So he asks to go to the bathroom. He leaves the classroom. He opens the door to the girls' room. Says, quote, "Sorry, wrong door. I thought it was the desert." Page 101. And I love that line. Then he checks the boys' bathroom, and then he leaves the school building entirely. He doesn't know at this point what to do, so he's just kind of wandering around. He's going to see what happens. There are, two sides of him. One says, "I died," and the other says, "No, you didn't." So he has, poor kid, he's got this he doesn't know what's real and what's not real, and he is just baffled by it. And I do think these are some of the best chapters of the book. I love Jake's inner conflict, and I feel like he is just one of my favorite characters. And I feel so sorry for him, because and who can he talk to about this, His mom is just a pill-popping, kind of zoned out mother. His father only cares about the prestige of, Jake's achievements, doesn't really care about Jake, and he is kind of described as having dark hair and cowboy boots, so he's kind of like a counterfeit Roland. He doesn't have integrity, he doesn't have courage, but he gives that image, that's his cultivated image, and it's a lie, it's a facade. So that's very interesting that Roland is more of a father to Jake than Jake's father, even though Jake's father puts on the guise of someone like Roland. Stolen valor and all that. So Jake ends up, when he's playing hooky, he goes to the Manhattan Restaurant of the Mind, and it's a bookstore. Quote, "Jake went in aware that he had, for the first time in 3 weeks, opened a door without hoping madly to find another world on the other side." Page 113. So this is where we meet two characters who will become important in the series, Calvin Tower and Erin Deepnow. They shoot the shit for a little while. Jake ends up buying 2 books, a book called Charlie the Choo Choo, which is a picture book for kids, and then a book of riddles. And it has the answers to the riddles in the back of the book ripped out. Jake goes to a vacant lot, and it's the future home of Turtle Bay Condominiums. It's the former location of Tom and Jerry's Artistic Deli. And he finds a key in the lot. He's drawn to it. He picks it up. He tucks it into Charlie the Choo Choo. There's a rose in the vacant lot, and it's singing, and it has a sun inside of it, which contains just worlds. And it's very trippy. Jake ends up kind of passing out. He goes home. He's all scuffed up because he has fallen a few times, and he's just, it's late in the day. His parents are worried. The school, he didn't return to his desk after going to the bathroom. They know that he ran away. So Jake goes home, and his parents, don't know what to do with him. They don't know how to talk to him, how to interact with him, basically. So he goes to his room, and he reads Charlie the Choo Choo, and he circles key phrases and words. So we have Midworld Railway Company, Susanna, Mr. Martin, New York, the world had moved on, and Jake is very uneasy when it comes to the pictures of Charlie. He looks not as innocent and as heroic as he is portrayed in the book. So the train might be bad, which we'll come into it later in this book. And then Jake goes to bed, and he is still uncertain whether he's dead or alive, or somehow both.